Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Talent Finders would like to welcome children's book author, illustrator, and publisher Kelly Kaschula. So, welcome, Kelly.
Hi.
Kelly, I'd like to congratulate you on all your achievements. Can you share with us a little more how your journey as an author and illustrator and publisher started?
Oh, yes, most certainly. Well, I always wanted to write ever since I was a little girl, and so that has been at the back of my head, as I've been growing up, and I've been tinkering and tankering with stories here and there. And it wasn't until, my late 20s where I, in a way, sat myself down and said, well, you kind of want to write. The only way you're going to do it is if you actually do it and get
Yeah,
something done and put it in concrete. And
exactly.
yeah, so I pushed and pushed myself to get the first book done, and then it just went from there in terms of authoring. Illustrating, on the other hand, it took a different route. When I started, playing with ideas, I thought with this one idea, okay, I'm going to do like a children's animation.
Mm.
And I was going around to some people that I knew and asking, hey, do you want to be part of this? And they were like, no, we're not doing this anymore, or, kind of doing this for cash. It's a pay for the product thing. And I'm like, okay, not going to do that. And so I was like, well, the only other option is I do it myself. And so I started drawing for myself and pushing myself to enhance my skills. And
It's
so that,
amazing. Yeah, because illustrations are also, it's very niche and there's not a lot of people that do it.
yeah, I'm very fortunate and grateful that I have been doing this drawing since I was born. I've just, picked up a pencil and I started drawing. And so I knew I could do it.
Mm,
I just it was just the universe saying to me, well, no one's going to help you. You got to do it yourself.
absolutely. So where
Yeah.
did your passion then for storytelling start, and what led you to write children's books specifically in such a competitive space?
Let's see. Well, I remember I was 9 years old at the time, and my grade 3 teacher tasked the entire class to write their first ever story. And so as I was writing the story, my brain went like blew up in like fireworks, and like, oh my God, this is so amazing. And I ended the story in such a way that I was like, this is so cool. And so it started there. And that's when I started, dreaming up stories and ideas and playing with them. I would write down notes, I would doodle, you know, with the stories. And so that's where it started. That's what I remember.
So how did you go about choosing the stories and the themes for the children's books that you wrote?
So I was one day, I was, just messing about. And so with my first book, I kind of heard this like little title in my head, pop in my head. I caught one of Santa's reindeer. And I was like, oh, that is so cool. So I wrote it down. And that was around about the time I was pushing myself to write the story. And so I pushed myself to write that story. Um, that story came about, you know, I love Christmas. And so I started playing with the character and the plot and the arc and pushing myself to do that. And the theme kind of came about after I wrote about it. And I realized, oh, there are certain themes that are coming up in the first book. And that is,
Mm,
don't lie. It's really
mm.
not really good to lie. You kind of get on the naughty list of Santa's naughty list. And also, the importance of taking care of a pet, because in I Caught One of Santa's Reindeer, little Lizzie, takes care of Cupid the reindeer. She feeds it, she teaches it please and thank you. And so it's a lot of work. She sits down
Mm.
at the end and she's like, whoa. And so it's only
So there's also an
after,
educational element to it as well, I guess, in the
well,
theme of the stories by what you're saying.
of course, but they're all subtly hidden, you know.
Yes.
You can't tell a kid, huh, you got to do this. No, no
No,
way.
no.
So it's great to have a really good role model for them to be like, oh, little Lizzie, she told a lie, but Santa told her don't do that.
Yes.
So there's always something. And I usually find the themes as I'm writing it, I come, oh yeah, yeah, let's go with that. With I captured the Easter Bunny's chicken. One of the main themes when I actually did start writing was sharing,
Mm.
because your kids get Easter eggs, they all go hunt for the Easter eggs, and someone has more than the others. And so sharing was a really big part of that theme. And it's always kindness. There's always an underlining theme of kindness.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, can you share with us the process or how long has each book taken you to write or complete? And were the external influences that influence you to choose the themes of the books, to elaborate on what you've just said now?
Well, if daily life did not intervene, the
Yes.
average go to 9 to 5 to work, doing household stuff, then I usually would take about 3 months to write the story, from about the idea of the concept to research to planning everything on paper to actually getting it down on the document. So
Yes.
it's average 3 months, but life intervenes, so it can be a little bit longer. And then it takes me on average for the my solo books to do about 3 months of drawing, of
Okay.
illustrating. That involves though the prep work and research, and then getting the actual picture on the document, and then building the entire book.
Yes.
So that's about the time. And then with the themes, it's especially with the drawing, it's Christmas. We go look at a lot of Christmassy things, and Easter, same with that. With the monster book, there was a theme of education and reading and discovering and exploring books. So it was a lot of looking at libraries, funny enough,
Mm.
which was really challenging to draw, but at the same time, it was super fun.
Amazing. So you obviously had quite a journey and you've traveled abroad widely. So can you share with us more about this and what made you choose that path and how did that influence and lead you to where you are today?
Well, I finished my studies, and I read somewhere or heard somewhere, I can't remember, where somebody said that in order to write really great stories, you need to experience things, you need to see things. And so I felt a great pull to go travel.
Mm-mm.
And of course, when it comes down to travel, money is always the question. So, I
Yes.
thought, so why not travel, work, and write at the same time? So
Mm.
I decided to go. I jumped to Thailand to try and learn how to teach English as a second language, but unfortunately, I had to come home. And then I went to Paris to look after kids as an au pair, which turned out really great. And then I could write on the side. So
Yes.
that's with my travels, and it opened my eyes. It really did.
Mm.
I got to see culture, language, the behaviors of people, how they communicate. I got to experience food on a different level. I learned how to
Yeah,
cook.
for sure.
In a way, I rediscovered myself. I rediscovered art and how I enjoyed it. I walked around, the city of Paris a lot. I went to museums, and this all pushed me to be creative again.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, sometimes when you are in a low dip and you really don't know what to do, just going out and experiencing things really pushes you and inspires you to be
Mm-mm.
who you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm going to sort of touch back a little bit on the illustration skills. I mean, you have touched on it, and obviously it's a very niche and specialized area. So was this an organic process for you? And how and where did you learn such beautiful skills in terms of illustrations? Was it self-taught or, was it influenced through your studying or through what you were doing at university? I'm just curious, and I'm sure the audience is too, like, how did you hone that skill in terms of illustrations?
Well, I picked up a pencil from a very young age. I was drawing all the time. I remember when I was probably 5 or 6, and there was a task to do, and we had to basically take a crayon
Mm,
and do an imprint of something. And I didn't know we had to do that, but I was drawing. I decided to draw a little garden with the flowers. And so over the years, as I grew and grew, I would constantly draw. And every time I draw, I could see that my skills were developing.
Yes.
But you get into your teenage years and your early 20s, and things kind of fall away. So I stopped drawing for quite a long time
Mm,
because, it's just the way life is.
mm,
And my mom would keep on asking me, like, hey, when are you going to draw again? When are you going to draw? Because she could see that I had skills. And so, then destiny intervenes and kind of pushes you, like in my books, being like, no one else is going to do this for you. You're going to have to do it. And so, I went ahead and I went to go buy myself coloring pencils in Paris again. And I started coloring and drawing with my pencils and pens. And then eventually, I came to a point where I was actually trying to transfer my pictures onto digital.
mm,
And then I was cutting out backgrounds. I'm like, there has to be an easier way. And so, I saved up for my digital tablet,
mm,
which took my skills, from this level to that level, because now I could play with layers and I could save things and I didn't have to cut out backgrounds. And so it was a very organic process for me. Um,
mm.
and the only studies I ever did have was, the tasks teachers tasked us at high school and primary school. That's about it. I don't know. It's like a magnet. You're just drawn to this. And then if you go with it, well, hold on tight.
Amazing. So you published your first book back in 2021, titled I Caught One of Santa's Reindeers. So you did share a little bit about that, but can you share with the audience more about the book and having published your first book, what was the inspiration and passion for that theme?
The inspiration is getting down to it and being like, hey, girl, you want to write? It's time. And
Yes,
so that's what pushed me for the first book. It pushed me to be like, you want to do this, let's prove to yourself, not to anybody else, let's just do it. So,
yes.
you know I sat down and I started, and I kind of learned my way of writing through the first book. I learned that I needed to research. So I researched with pen and paper, scribbling down notes. And then, I took the studies that I had around building stories of character, plot, the general arc, setup, and payoff. And I incorporated all that knowledge into the ideas of the planning of the book. And so I realized this is my process, which kind of was
Yes.
like a light bulb.
Mm,
And then eventually I, just sat down day and night, writing, typing away,
mm.
editing as I go. And so that is where it came from. That's where it came from, the inspiration. Um, of course, I love Christmas. I really do. Christmas is one of my favorite times of the years. I
Mm,
love the joy around it. And so, Christmas is always an inspiration um around that book. Um,
amazing.
yeah.
So what would you say have been some of your biggest career learnings? I'm sure there's been multiple lessons and experiences, but what is the one thing that stands out for you that you really gained a lesson from, whether it was a negative or a positive?
Well, the first thing, the biggest thing is persistence is key.
Mm,
Don't
mm.
give up on your dreams, just keep at it no matter what. Deadlines help. Putting your
Yes,
deadlines in a
yes,
diary,
yeah,
and holding yourself to it really makes sure you get it done.
yes.
Once it's done, then you can edit away, you can change things, then it's fine. Then that's like
Mm,
the easy. So that is the one key, is persistence.
mm.
Another thing I would like to mention is networking. It's not, it's not always great because it takes a lot of work, but it leads you to meet people who will honestly change your world. Yeah.
Absolutely. So with that being said, what are some of the biggest career highlights you've had? And again, there might be multiple, but I mean, is there one that particularly stands out for you?
It's actually just happened recently. Um, I never really acknowledged myself as an author or illustrator. And so
Mm,
with the publication of my latest book, I discovered a monster under my bed, and my fiance going, hey, guess what? It's 5 books, I've written 5 books.
mm.
Then that is in itself a highlight. When you take the
Absolutely.
time,
It's a huge
yeah,
achievement because it's not
yeah,
easy, not everybody can write books. It's a very
yeah.
challenging.
It is challenging. And it's so rewarding when you sit back at the end of the day and just take the time to be acknowledge yourself. Because I think
Yes.
that is what I tend to not do, is acknowledge where I am. And so
Mm.
that's my highlight for for this year.
Absolutely. So, what is your ultimate vision for your business? And do you have any exciting project you're currently working on or a book you are publishing? And if so, could you share with the audience if it's not confidential?
Yeah, of course. Well, I like to play this game in my mind where I say, so the ultimate idea that I have in my head for me as a author entrepreneur is one day walking into a bookstore, just casually browsing around. Oh, my book's on the shelf there. Okay, that's a cool. But then seeing a kid pick it up and going to their mom or dad and being like, "Mommy, mommy, can we get this?" And them lighting up because they really want to read it.
Yeah.
And then I always imagine I would walk up to them and be like, "Hey, that's a really good book." And then walking away, never realizing that they met the author of the book until years later. So that is the biggest dream, is having kids and parents read the story
Mm,
and coming together, bonding, creating conversations, and lighting up with pure joy that they've just gone on this adventure with all these characters, little Lizzie, the monster under the bed, and even in my Brave Kids books,
mm,
experiencing all these different stories that not only I wrote, but all this cast of world authors have
mm,
written. And later coming back to the thoughts that they've had in their heads and being like, the story actually changed me. It inspired me to believe in magic. It helped me be kinder to a friend. It helped me actually make friendships. And so I think that is the biggest business dream, is to impact people in such a positive way that it changes the world.
that's
um
amazing. So
yeah.
that leads me to the last two final questions. What are the three key pieces of advice you have for those wanting to pursue a career in publishing, illustrating, and or writing? And what legacy would you like to leave, or how would you like to be remembered?
Phew. Okay, let's see. um so let's see, the three key things that is persistence. Continue with your dream.
Mm.
Be like Dory from Finding Nemo. Just keep swimming, just keep
Yeah.
doing, just
Yes.
keep writing, just keep drawing. So that's the first one. The second one would be, you know, start networking now. The people that you meet, you know, can help you along the way. They can be your friends, or they can be your colleagues or your business partner and push you to a place that you never thought was possible. And I guess the third one is never give up. No matter what this idea or spark is inside of your head, and there's going to be outside people that going to brush it off. Oh, okay, cool, you're an author. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But if you keep on doing it
Mm.
and just listening to yourself, then you can achieve it. Um,
Yes.
and the legacy I would like to leave behind is, I said it before, I want these stories to change the world. I want, kids to be kids again, to
Yes.
use their imagination, to play with ideas and thoughts, to get excited about reading and diving headfirst into books and discovering worlds. And then maybe just you creating their own world. And I remember you asked in a question early on that I didn't even answer. You asked, what is next? What book is
Yes,
next?
I was curious about that, and I'm sure the audience is too.
Well, I'm currently now that I've finished the monster book, which I'm so thankful for, I'm now going to do Brave Kids Volume 3 because we've done Volume 1 and 2. So, we're looking for authors to be part of that amazing collaboration. And I also, Little Lizzie's story is not finished, so I'm going to continue writing her secret adventures, which I have a couple of titles in my head, so I'm quite excited to get going on those.
Amazing. Well, thank you for joining us today. So, if people would like to connect with you, what are the best platforms to do so? And also, if they're interested in purchasing the books, is there anywhere they can go? If you could just share with the audience, on how to connect and make contact with you.
Sure. The best way is to go to my website, www.kjkaschula.com. There you can explore all these fascinating worlds I'm creating. You can also link up to the Secret Keepers and join them as an email list. Once you join, you'll get like first-hand information, competitions, book deals, of all the books that I will publish throughout my career because I'm going to do this until I'm 100 and something. Um,
Amazing.
and
And then
of
any
course,
social media, can they
yeah,
link with you through social media?
yes, you can go to Instagram. I love Instagram, so you can go check me out on there. Also, KJ Kaschula, or you can just go to the website. There's a link on there that takes you to the Facebook as well as the Instagram. And you can send me messages via the website as well. There's a nice little form you can, if you wanted to write to the author, which is me. um, so that's the best way to reach me.
Amazing. Well, thanks for joining us, and hopefully we can have you back in the future to see where you are in your author illustration writing journey. And thanks for
Most
joining us
definitely.
today.
And thank you for having me.